Chapter 5: Decision-Making and Accountability. Decision-making is one of the most critical responsibilities of a leader. It is the process of choosing a course of action from multiple alternatives to achieve a desired outcome. Effective decision-making requires a combination of analytical thinking, emotional intelligence, and the ability to anticipate the consequences of each choice. As a leader, the decisions you make not only impact your team, but also influence the overall success of your organization or community. Therefore, it is essential to approach decision-making with clarity, purpose, and a sense of responsibility. A leader must first understand the context and scope of the decision at hand. This involves gathering relevant information, consulting with stakeholders, and analyzing the potential risks and benefits of each option. Leaders should strive to make informed decisions based on facts, data, and evidence, while also considering the values and goals of the organization. However, decision-making is not always straightforward. In many cases, leaders must navigate uncertainty, conflicting priorities, and time constraints. This is where intuition and experience play a vital role. Another key aspect of decision-making is inclusivity. While leaders are ultimately responsible for making the final call, involving team members in the decision-making process can lead to better outcomes. Collaborative decision-making fosters a sense of ownership and commitment among team members as they feel their voices are heard and valued. It also allows leaders to benefit from diverse perspectives, which can lead to more innovative and well-rounded solutions. However, leaders must also recognize that not all decisions will be popular or easy. There will be times when difficult choices must be made, such as reallocating resources, addressing underperformance, or implementing changes that may initially face resistance. In such situations, a leader's ability to communicate the rationale behind their decisions is crucial. Transparency and honesty help build trust and ensure that team members understand the reasoning behind the leader's actions, even if they do not agree with them. Finally, decision-making is an ongoing process. Leaders must continuously evaluate the outcomes of their decisions and be willing to adapt if circumstances change or if the initial decision does not yield the desired results. Flexibility and a willingness to learn from mistakes are hallmarks of effective leadership. By embracing a growth mindset, leaders can refine their decision-making skills over time and become more adept at navigating complex challenges. Accountability is the cornerstone of effective leadership. It is the principle of taking ownership of one's actions, decisions, and their consequences. As a leader, accountability begins with you. It is not enough to delegate tasks and make decisions. You must also be prepared to accept responsibility for the outcomes, whether they are positive or negative. This level of accountability sets the tone for your team and creates a culture of trust, integrity, and high performance. Decision-making and accountability. A leader who practices accountability demonstrates a commitment to their role and to the people they lead. This means being transparent about your intentions, following through on your promises, and admitting when you are wrong. Accountability is not about perfection. It is about being honest and proactive in addressing challenges and setbacks. When leaders take responsibility for their actions, they inspire their team members to do the same. One of the most important aspects of accountability is setting clear expectations. Leaders must communicate their vision, goals, and standards to their team, ensuring that everyone understands their roles and responsibilities. When expectations are clear, it becomes easier to measure progress and hold individuals accountable for their contributions. Additionally, leaders should provide regular feedback and support to help team members stay on track and achieve their objectives. Accountability also involves creating an environment where mistakes are seen as opportunities for growth rather than reasons for punishment. When team members feel safe to take risks and learn from their errors, they are more likely to innovate and push boundaries. As a leader, it is your responsibility to foster this culture by addressing mistakes constructively and focusing on solutions rather than blame. At the same time, accountability requires leaders to address underperformance or misconduct when necessary. This can be one of the most challenging aspects of leadership, as it often involves difficult conversations and tough decisions. However, failing to hold individuals accountable can undermine the team's morale and productivity. By addressing issues promptly and fairly, leaders demonstrate their commitment to maintaining high standards and ensuring that everyone is contributing to the team's success. Finally, accountability extends beyond the leader and their team. Leaders are also accountable to their organization, stakeholders, and the broader community. This means acting in alignment with ethical principles, upholding the organization's values, and considering the long-term impact of their decisions. By embracing accountability at all levels, leaders build credibility and earn the trust and respect of those they serve. In conclusion, decision-making and accountability are inseparable aspects of leadership. Together, they form the foundation of a leader's ability to guide their team, achieve goals, and create a positive and lasting impact. By making thoughtful decisions and taking responsibility for their outcomes, leaders not only fulfill their responsibilities, but also inspire others to rise to their full potential. Decision-making and ethical leadership. Leadership is defined not only by the ability to inspire and guide, but also by the capacity to make sound decisions, especially in complex and high-pressure situations. This chapter delves into the critical responsibility of decision-making and the importance of ethical leadership. It explores how leaders can balance logic and intuition, navigate uncertainty, and ensure their decisions align with both organizational goals and moral principles. This chapter also emphasizes the long-term impact of ethical leadership on trust, credibility, and organizational success. The weight of decision-making. Every decision a leader makes, whether large or small, has a ripple decision-making and accountability effect on the organization. Leaders are often faced with competing priorities, incomplete information, and time constraints, making a challenging yet essential responsibility. To navigate this complexity, leaders must develop a structured approach to decision making that incorporates both analytical thinking and emotional intelligence. A structured approach often begins with gathering relevant data and understanding the context of the decision. Leaders must ask, what are the short-term and long-term implications of this choice? Who will be affected and how? While logic and data are critical, intuition also plays a significant role. Experienced leaders often rely on their instincts, shaped by years of practice and reflection, to make decisions when data alone is insufficient. Balancing risk and opportunity. Effective decision-making requires leaders to assess risks and opportunities carefully. Risk is an inherent part of leadership, but the ability to take calculated risks separates great leaders from average ones. Leaders must weigh the potential benefits of a decision against its possible downsides, considering both tangible and intangible factors. For example, when deciding whether to invest in a new product or market, leaders must evaluate financial risks, market trends, and the alignment of the opportunity with the organization's vision. However, they must also consider less quantifiable factors, such as the morale of the team or the potential for innovation. By balancing risk and opportunity, leaders can make decisions that drive growth while safeguarding the organization's stability. The role of ethical leadership. Ethical leadership is the cornerstone of responsible decision-making. Leaders are often faced with dilemmas where the right choice is not immediately clear. In such situations, ethical principles serve as a compass, guiding leaders toward decisions that uphold integrity, fairness, and respect for all stakeholders. Ethical leadership begins with self-awareness. Leaders must understand their own values and biases and how these influence their decisions. They must also consider the broader impact of their choices on employees, customers, communities, and the environment. Transparency and accountability are key components of ethical leadership. By openly communicating the reasoning behind their decisions and taking responsibility for the outcomes, leaders build trust and credibility. Navigating uncertainty and complexity. In today's fast-paced and unpredictable world, leaders often face decisions in uncertain and complex environments. The ability to navigate uncertainty is a critical skill for modern leaders. This involves staying calm under pressure, seeking diverse perspectives, and being willing to adapt as new information emerges. One effective strategy for navigating uncertainty is scenario planning. By considering multiple possible outcomes and preparing for each, leaders can make more informed decisions and reduce the impact of unforeseen challenges. Additionally, fostering a culture of collaboration and open communication allows leaders to draw on the collective wisdom of their teams, leading to more robust and innovative solutions. Decision-making and accountability. Case study: ethical decision-making in action. Consider the example of a retail company faced with a decision to cut costs during an economic downturn. The leadership team identified two options: laying off a significant portion of the workforce or reducing executive bonuses and implementing temporary pay cuts across the organization. While the first option would have provided immediate financial relief, the second option aligned more closely with the company's values of fairness and employee well-being. The leadership team chose the second option, openly communicating the reasons behind their decision and demonstrating a commitment to shared sacrifice. This decision not only preserved jobs but also strengthened employee loyalty and trust, ultimately positioning the company for long-term success. Practical steps for leaders. 1. Develop a decision-making framework. Create a structured process for evaluating decisions, including gathering data, assessing risks, and considering ethical implications. 2. Seek diverse perspectives. Involve team members with different backgrounds and expertise to ensure a well-rounded understanding of the issue. 3. Practice transparency. Communicate the reasoning behind your decisions and be open to feedback. 4. Reflect on past decisions. Regularly review the outcomes of your decisions to identify lessons learned and improve future decision making. 5. Prioritize ethical principles. Ensure that your decisions align with your values and the organization's mission, even when faced with pressure to prioritize short-term gains. Concluding thoughts. Decision-making and ethical leadership are inseparable responsibilities for any leader. The ability to make sound, principled decisions not only drives organizational success, but also builds trust, credibility, and a positive legacy. By balancing logic and intuition, assessing risks and opportunities, and upholding ethical principles, leaders can navigate even the most challenging situations with confidence and integrity. In the next chapter, we will explore the importance of fostering innovation and adaptability, equipping leaders with the tools to drive creativity and resilience in their teams and organizations. Decision-making and accountability. Chapter summaries. Decision-making and accountability are fundamental aspects of effective leadership. Decision-making involves the process of selecting the best course of action from multiple options to achieve desired outcomes. Leaders must gather relevant information, analyze risks and benefits, and consider the values and goals of their organization. Inclusivity in decision-making fosters collaboration and innovation. while adaptability ensures leaders can respond to changing circumstances and learn from outcomes. Effective decision making requires a balance of analytical thinking, emotional intelligence, and experience. Accountability, on the other hand, is the principle of taking ownership of one's actions and decisions. Leaders who practice accountability build trust and credibility by being transparent, following through on commitments, and addressing challenges proactively. Setting clear expectations and providing constructive feedback are essential for holding team members accountable. Additionally, fostering a culture where mistakes are seen as opportunities for growth encourages innovation and continuous improvement. Accountability also involves addressing underperformance fairly and ensuring alignment with ethical principles and organizational values. Together, decision making and accountability empower leaders to guide their teams effectively, achieve goals, and create a positive and lasting impact. Task for readers: to enhance your decision making and accountability skills, complete the following exercises. 1. Reflective exercise. Think about a recent decision you made as a leader. What information did you gather, and how did you involve others in the process? What was the outcome, and what would you do differently next time? Reflect on a situation where you held yourself or someone else accountable. How did you communicate expectations, and what was the result? What lessons did you learn from the experience? 2. Practical steps. Identify a current decision you need to make. List the options, gather relevant data, and consult with your team or stakeholders. Document the rationale behind your final choice. Set clear expectations for a project or task with your team. Provide regular feedback and address any challenges constructively. Evaluate the outcomes and discuss lessons learned with your team. By completing these exercises, you will develop a deeper understanding of your leadership style and improve your ability to make informed decisions and foster accountability. Decision making and accountability. This task is designed to help you reflect on your decision-making process, assess your ethical principles, and apply these insights to real-world scenarios. Step 1. Reflect on your decision-making style. Think about a recent decision you made as a leader. Write down the context of the decision, e.g., the problem, constraints, and stakeholders involved. The process you used to arrive at the decision, e.g., data analysis, consultation, intuition. The outcome of the decision and its impact on others. Reflect on what went well and what could have been improved. Did you consider all relevant factors? Were there any biases or blind spots in your approach? Step 2. Identify your ethical compass. Write down your top 3 ethical principles, e.g., fairness, transparency, accountability. These should be values that guide your leadership decisions. Reflect on a time when you faced an ethical dilemma. How did your principles influence your decision? Were there any trade-offs, and how did you handle them? Step 3. Practice scenario planning. Choose a hypothetical or real-life leadership scenario where you must make a challenging decision. For example, you need to cut costs in your organization. Do you reduce staff or implement pay cuts across the board? A team member with strong performance is behaving unethically. How do you address the situation? Write down at least 2 possible courses of action for the scenario. For each option, list the potential risks and benefits. Consider the ethical implications and how they align with your values. Identify who will be affected and how. Step 4. Seek diverse perspectives. Share your scenario and options with a trusted colleague, mentor, or team member. Ask for their input and to consider how their perspective might influence your decision. Reflect on how involving others in the decision-making process can lead to more balanced and informed outcomes. Step 5. Commit to transparency and accountability. Think about how you would communicate your decision to your team or stakeholders. Write a brief explanation that clearly outlines the reasoning behind your choice, acknowledges the potential challenges or trade-offs, reinforces your commitment to ethical principles and organizational goals. Plan how you will follow up on the decision to ensure accountability and address any unintended consequences. Decision-making and accountability. Reflection. At the end of the week, take 10 minutes to reflect on the following. How has this exercise influenced your approach to decision-making? Did you identify any areas where you could improve your process or better align your decisions with your values? What steps will you take to strengthen your decision-making and ethical leadership moving forward? By completing this task, you will gain greater clarity on your decision-making style, strengthen your ethical foundation, and develop practical strategies for navigating complex leadership challenges. In the midst of adversity, leadership reveals its true strength. Each challenge is an opportunity to demonstrate courage, forge resilience, and pioneer new paths forward. Conflict resolution and crisis management